When causing loss of face in Thailand, it can lead to the sudden death of loved relationships, good friendships, business relationships, and even result in abrupt termination of employment. In extreme cases with significant loss of face, it can even lead to violence, including murder and manslaughter. It is absolutely crucial to know how to avoid loss of face in Thailand in order to live happily, work and conduct successful business here in Thailand. It is particularly important to know how to criticize and point out mistakes without causing loss of face. In this video I will tell you how. I feel to be in a position to do so as I have been living here in Thailand for altogether more than 18 years and I'm fluent in Thai. I've studied here in Thailand, worked here as an employee, and now I have my own company here with Thai employees, and I have a Thai family and lots of Thai friends here. First, in this video I will provide you with 6 general tips on how to avoid loss of face in Thailand, and then I will present you 7 very important tips on how to successfully criticize in Thailand and point out mistakes to Thai people without causing anyone to lose face. Before I dive into that, I would like to briefly explain the cultural concept of face in Thailand, which also applies in a similar manner to many other countries in Southeast Asia and East Asia. What is face in this context? The concept of face can be described as a combination of social status, reputation, influence, dignity and honor. It primarily represents the social image that others have of an individual and the self-image that one holds, or the perception of what others think about oneself. Maintaining face involves preventing others from losing face. Thais generally make an effort to ensure that both themselves and others preserve face, meaning that no one experiences a loss of face. Before we begin with the tips of how to avoid loss of face in Thailand, just a few seconds of advertising for my company and our services here in Thailand. Do you want to invite your Thai girlfriend or boyfriend to Europe, or do you need a visa, driver's license or bank account in Thailand for yourself? We'll take care of it for you. Save yourself a lot of time and hassle. Just contact us. Okay, let's start with the 6 general tips on how to avoid loss of face in Thailand. Number 1. Don't criticize openly in public. In general, you should exercise caution when it comes to criticism and direct confrontation with mistakes in Thailand. What you should absolutely avoid is to criticize someone in front of others, or even worse, in public. As a general principle, criticism should only be done when there is a compelling reason. A meal not tasting good at a restaurant is not considered a valid reason for most Thais. Rarely would a Thai send back a poorly tasting meal or insist on not paying for it. Most would even not complain, and if they did, it would be in a manner that ensures avoiding direct confrontation and loss of face, as I will explain later in this video. For less significant matters in Thailand, it is often better to let things slide and say nothing to avoid the uncomfortable situation of confrontation and potential loss of face, and even to prevent escalation to violence in extreme cases. It is also crucial to know that avoiding criticism becomes even more important when dealing with someone older, especially significantly older, or someone with a higher social status, rank, fame, power or wealth. Number 2. Don't ask too much. It is advisable to refrain from asking too insistently, scrutinizing, and above all, questioning in a way that implies doubt in what someone else is saying. It can become too personal and indiscreet for the other person, putting them in an uncomfortable position and risking loss of face, even if the intention behind the many questions is genuine curiosity and not skepticism. In certain situations, expressing too much interest can be uncomfortable and embarrassing for some Thais. Number 3. Don't raise your voice and don't get emotional. Avoid expressing your frustration loudly, and most importantly, do not lose your composure, even if you have really been treated poorly and unfairly, feeling, for example, scammed and cheated. In Thailand, it is crucial to remain calm, patient, composed and polite, especially in public, but also in private. Expressing anger and dissatisfaction loudly leads to your own loss of face and, of course, to the loss of face for the person you confront with your emotions. Moreover, it can also lead to the loss of face for people accompanying you, such as your spouse. The initial calm response from many Thais when aggressively confronted or verbally attacked should not mislead you into thinking that they remain calm forever. If you exceed a certain limit, the situation can quickly and abruptly change and escalate, resulting in an explosion of emotions and even aggression that can be surprising and shocking for Westerners. In such instances, matters can quickly spiral out of control, not seldomly culminating in violent attacks that pose a risk for your safety and well-being. In any case, expressing your anger and aggressively insisting on your rights usually doesn't get you far in Thailand, especially when the issue is not significant. It is often better to let things go rather than persist out of principle and risk huge problems or even jeopardize your health and life. Number 4. Try offer drinks and food. When someone offers you something to drink or eat, it is advisable to accept it or at least try a bit of it. If you choose to decline, do so in an extremely polite manner, expressing gratitude and maintaining a friendly facial expression, preferably with a smile. For instance, you can mention that for health reasons you cannot consume it. You should never reject food or drinks offered to you with a facial expression of disapproval or even disgust. And very importantly, don't wave it away with a disgusted gesture like this. Number 5. Avoid aggressive bargaining. Anyone who has been to Thailand knows that bargaining is common in many places, but you should not approach it too aggressively or insist persistently on the desired price. Insisting on a particular price because you heard it's the standard rate and therefore being assertive and uncompromising can also lead to loss of face for both parties. It's better to approach the situation with a bit of playfulness and a smile. If the seller doesn't agree on the price, it's often better to simply walk away and try your luck elsewhere. Not uncommonly, the seller may call you back as you walk away and offers you a better deal. Number 6. If someone invites you, don't decline. For example, if a Thai person invites you to a meal and insists on paying, you should not decline. Initially, you should politely attempt to refuse by saying it's not necessary for them to pay. However, if they persist on paying, it's advisable to accept, as a firm rejection of their invitation, especially in the presence of others, can lead to loss of face for them too. So those were the 6 general tips on how to avoid loss of face in Thailand, and in a short moment I will provide you with the promised 7 important tips of how to criticize in Thailand without losing face. Of course, besides these 6 general tips which I've just provided to you, there are many more tips on how to avoid loss of face, embarrassment, problems and frustration in Thailand. For additional insights, be sure to check out my following 2 videos with the titles 5 things that Thais hate about foreigners and 10 things you should never do in Thailand. I will put links to these videos in the description of this video. So now let's go ahead and proceed with the 7 tips of how to criticize in Thailand and point out mistakes and shortcomings without causing loss of face. Before we start with them, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you found the video informative thus far. Okay, now let's start with the 7 tips on how to criticize in Thailand without causing loss of face. Number 1. Express criticism cautiously and minimized. In Thailand, criticism is usually expressed very cautiously, often in a minimized manner. For instance, if you would like to criticize an oversalted soup in a restaurant, you might say that the soup was a little bit too salty, even if it was much too salty. This approach helps to soften the criticism, alleviate confrontation, and avoid causing the chef to lose face. While it may not always be possible to minimize criticism to such an extent, in general, it is advisable to try to express criticism with a less harsh and a cautious tone. Number 2. Be polite and friendly. When offering criticism, it is essential to maintain a polite and friendly demeanor. This applies not only to constructive feedback, but also when dealing with employees, demonstrating goodwill, loyalty and care. This approach fosters a trustworthy, pleasant and positive atmosphere, making it easier to both express and accept criticism. A smile, or at least a bit of a smile, and a friendly gaze can diffuse confrontation and seriousness, decreasing the chances of causing loss of face when delivering criticism. Number 3. Stay objective and avoid emotions. It is crucial to refrain from making accusations, to avoid raising your voice or becoming emotional when delivering criticism. The criticism should be presented calmly and objectively, ensuring that it does not sound like a general attack on the person. Adopting a non-confrontational stance, avoiding scolding or reproach, and refraining from dwelling on the mistake by repeating it over and over again are essential. Repeated emphasis on the error is often perceived as particularly unpleasant by many Thais, and thus the criticized person may feel personally attacked, risking a loss of face. Number 4. Pay attention to your facial expressions. This is a very important point, as Westerners and Thais often interpret facial expressions and gestures differently. Compared to Westerners, Thais are more cautious with facial expressions which convey negative emotions. In Thailand, people are not quick to adopt a serious facial expression, especially in public or among people they do not know well. There's a tendency towards maintaining a certain kind of poker face to avoid revealing emotions, since displaying emotions can lead to a loss of face for both yourself and the other person. It's crucial to avoid overly serious facial expressions in Thailand, especially those interpreted by Thais as too severe. For example, in the West you might furrow your brows when thinking critically about something or when feeling perplexed or skeptical about something. However, in Thailand it's advisable to avoid or to use such expressions cautiously, because Thais often overinterpret or even misunderstand them, perceiving the problem as more significant than the foreigner may see it. In Thailand, not only the tone but also facial expressions really matter. The facial expressions used when criticizing or pointing out mistakes can significantly impact how the criticism is received and whether the other person feels a loss of face or not, becomes upset or not, and whether the criticism is ultimately successful and constructive. Therefore, it's best to maintain a friendly, benevolent and composed facial expression, ideally with a smile. Misinterpretation of facial expressions can often lead to misunderstandings, discontent and even conflicts between Thais and foreigners, for example in Thai-foreign couples, or it can create reluctance among employees towards a foreign boss, resulting in issues in the work environment and business outcomes. Number 5. Criticize in private. As said earlier, you should only criticize in a personal one-to-one conversation, ensuring that no one else is listening. Number 6. Praise and compliment first. Whenever possible, you should try to find words of praise first. For example, say something positive before beginning with criticism. For example, if the cleaning staff has finished cleaning and you want to point out some remaining dirty spots, you should first praise them, mentioning that the building or the company is now much cleaner than before, express gratitude and then gently bring attention to the remaining dirty spots. Number 7. Opt for the right timing. It's best to wait for an opportune moment to offer criticism. It's advisable not to do so when the person is already stressed or upset about something else. In personal settings, for example, you could wait for a relaxed moment during a meal to gently express criticism or point out a mistake. So those were my tips on how to criticize or point out mistakes and shortcomings in Thailand without creating a loss of face. What are your thoughts on this topic? Do you have any questions? What are your experiences with expressing criticism and dealing with mistakes in Thailand? Have you ever had a situation escalate into a conflict due to criticizing someone? Please share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. If you found the video informative, please hit the thumbs up and share this video. I will have more videos about Thailand for you soon. If you don't want to miss them, please subscribe to my channel MyThai24 and click the notification bell. Thank you very much for watching and I catch you on the next one. Bye!